serving the Republic of the Philippines for more than 75 years. Ito po ang Presidential Broadcast Service.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. The Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino or 4PH flagship program of the administration of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. formally launched in Calamba, Misamis Occidental Province. The event was led by Misamis Occidental Governor Attorney Henry Owaminal, along with Calamba Mayor Luisito Villanueva Jr., Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development or DHSUD Regional Director Ariel Abragan, and Police Community Relations Director Police Major General Edgar Alan Ocubo. The said housing project is worth 1.1 billion pesos and is called Green Hills Village, composed of 5 buildings with 745 low-priced, socialized housing units. The event coincides with the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding or MOU between the local government of Calamba and the DHSUD. To recall, the Philippine government launched 4PH in September of 2022. It targets to reduce the number of informal settlers in the country and create 6 million houses until President Marcos's term ends in 2028. This is to address the estimated 6.8 million housing backlog in the whole country.
Dateline Malacañang.
Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs or SAPIA, Secretary Frederick Go, chaired his first Economic Development Group or EDG meeting, focused on creating steps to attract more foreign investors in the Philippines. In a statement, the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA said, among the steps the agency proposed during the meeting were initiatives of foreign investments in the sectors of renewable energy, critical minerals, and agriculture. The economic team reached a consensus on how the government would address and fast-track the procedures to implement the government's planned renewable energy projects. Besides the SAPIA, the Department of Finance, the NEDA, the Department of Budget and Management or DBM, the Department of Agriculture or DA, and the Department of Energy comprises the EDG. The EDG also included in the EDG are the Departments of Science and Technology, Trade and Industry, and the Interior and Local Government. In his message, Secretary Go emphasized that the duty of the economic team should be aligned with the steps of each government agency so that its objectives are realized. Go added that coordination is key across all departments in order to prevent duplication.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Air Force or PAF received another Lockheed C-130H Hercules cargo transport aircraft from the United States. In a statement Monday, PAF spokesperson Colonel Maria Consuelo Castillo said, the aircraft landed at the Clark Air Base, Mabalacat City, Pampanga on February 16th. Castillo said the aircraft was ferried from Waco, Texas to the Philippines via United States aircrew. The delivery is the second of two C-130 aircrafts given by the U.S. to the Philippines through its Excess Defense Articles or EDA program. The first unit was delivered on January 29, 2021 and formally turned over to the PAF in February of the same year. Castillo said the addition of the new C-130 will bolster the PAF's cargo airlift fleet and support humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, or HADR operations and various military missions.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Air Force and the United States Pacific Air Force on Monday conducted a combined air patrol over the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone or EEZ at the West Philippine Sea. The patrol covers the waters 90 miles west of Candon in Ilocos Sur Province and 50 miles northwest of Lubang, Mindoro Province. This is the fourth part of the third Maritime Cooperative Activity or MCA between the two allied forces. Among that participated in the patrol were 3 FA-50 fighter jets of the PAF and 1 B-52H bomber from the United States. According to Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP Public Affairs Office Chief Colonel Cerces Trinidad, the activity demonstrates the commitment between both forces to enhance interoperability and promote peace and security in the Indo-Pacific region.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA said that the administration of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is fast-tracking its steps in addressing the increase in prices of basic commodities in the country. NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan made the statement after the recent result of an Octa research survey showed that 75% of adult Filipinos are not happy with the steps the government is doing to address inflation. The NEDA chief said the government is accelerating its efforts in addressing the increase in prices, like rice, amid the effects of the El Niño phenomenon that the country is currently experiencing and the continuous surge of prices in the world market. Balisacan said the national government is already making steps to materialize big foreign direct investments or FDIs to create more quality jobs that will increase the pay of workers and the purchasing power of the Filipino people. Secretary Balisacan also explained that since President Marcos assumed office, the Philippine economy has recovered since the 9.5% contraction in 2020. He added that inflation rose in the first quarter of 2023 due to external factors and the challenges of domestic policy. Interventions helped reduce inflation to 2.8% in January this year. Balisacan said unemployment rate reached historic low at 3.1% in December last year, while underemployment rate decreased to 11.9%.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Department of Migrant Workers or DMW on Monday announced the scheduled release of the third set of guidelines for the deployment of Filipino seasonal workers to Korea. In a press briefing, DMW Officer in Charge Undersecretary Hans Leo Magpayo said they are currently working with the Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG, the Department of Justice or DOJ, concerned local government units or LGUs in the country, the Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA, the Philippine Embassy in Seoul, the Korean Embassy in the Philippines, and the Korean Ministry of Justice to improve policies. According to Kakdak, around 3,353 Filipino seasonal workers under the Seasonal Worker Program or SWP are employed as of December of 2023. The SWP is a clause under the sisterhood agreements between certain LGUs of the two countries. This allows short-term employment of foreign agricultural workers in South Korea to address labor shortages during the peak planting and harvesting seasons. It is managed by the Korean Ministry of Justice and the Korean Immigration Service. However, since deployment of workers started in 2022, Kakdak said, the Migrant Workers Office or MWO in Seoul has received several complaints from overseas Filipino workers or OFWs regarding questionable deduction in wages and involvement of brokers who collect exorbitant fees in hiring OFWs. On January 11th, the DMW issued its first advisory for 2024, putting a moratorium on the deployment of seasonal workers to Korea.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA reported to have evacuated 14 Filipinos in Gaza due to the continuous fighting between Israel and Hamas. According to DFA Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega, only one Filipino remained in Gaza, a nun who decided to stay. The evacuated Filipinos were brought to Cairo, Egypt, and is being helped by the embassy there. A total of 136 Filipinos have so far been repatriated since Israel intensified its operations against Hamas in Gaza.
Dateline Malacañang.
With 20 in favor, no objections, and no abstentions, the Philippines Senate passed on third reading a 100 peso legislated wage hike or 100 peso increase in salaries of minimum wage workers in the whole country. Under Senate Bill number 2534, all workers receiving minimum wage will receive an additional 100 pesos on their daily wages. Senate Committee on Labor Chairman Senator Jinggoy Estrada, sponsor of the measure, earlier clarified that the bill does not include workers in the managerial position. To recall, the original measure, sponsored by Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, proposes a 150 peso across-the-board legislated wage hike. But due to the increase in salaries implemented recently in different region wage boards, the Senate committee placed the wage hike at 100 pesos. According to Zubiri and Estrada, this aims to balance the interests of both the employer and the workers.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, on Monday afternoon said, 14,211 tons of sulfur dioxide or SO2 emission was observed from the Taal volcano main crater. PHIVOLCS said that this is the second highest SO2 flux recorded this year, and Taal volcano generated an average of 10,000 tons per day since January. In its advisory, PHIVOLCS said sulfur stench was reported by residents of the towns of Bilibinwang and Banyaga in the municipality of Agoncillo, Batangas Province. It added that moderate winds have prevented the accumulation of SO2 and no volcanic smog or VOG over Taal volcano's caldera was observed. High concentrations of volcanic SO2 could cause long-term health impacts to communities around Taal caldera frequently exposed to volcanic gas. The SO2 gas could irritate the skin, eyes, nose, and throat. The aerosol particles in VOG could also penetrate the lungs and could induce the symptoms of asthma. Meanwhile, PHIVOLCS said earthquake activity has remained weak with 17 volcanic earthquakes, mostly tremor events associated with volcanic gas activity being recorded this year. Alert Level 1 is maintained over the Taal volcano, which means sudden steam-driven or phreatic explosions, volcanic earthquakes, minor ashfall, and lethal accumulations or expulsions of volcanic gas can occur and threaten areas within Taal Volcano Island. Entry into the island, especially the vicinities of the main crater and the Daang Castilla fissure, must remain strictly prohibited. Local government units are also advised to continuously monitor and assess volcanic SO2 exposure of their communities and undertake appropriate response measures to mitigate these hazards.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.